So, just when I was having trouble thinking up a video to do, Assembly was nice enough to go ahead and release a update of a size I am not certain, as I want to avoid spoiling too much about this for myself. Let me go. Didn't want to spoil too much about this for myself, because I wanted to, if there's any cool surprises, I wanted them to be surprises. Probably won't be, but I can still talk about some of the stuff that's come. And also, I have lowered the microphone down a little bit. I have removed some of the things I was using to prop it up, so that you can see my face. That's nice. Unless you think my face is ugly. I also have a bad hair day and I'm in my pajamas because I just woke up not too long ago. Nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Talk about the Total War Warhammer 3 Update 2.4.0 patch notes. Yeah, there we go. Which the big thing that I saw ahead of time was that Immortal Empires is now available to everyone. That is really cool. That is, I would say, pretty generous. I know there's a lot of people for whom this was a big, big thing. They did not want to Warhammer 3 until it had this. Some kind of consumer advocacy thing. I'm not a super strong consumer advocate kind of guy, but this is still very cool. And it's definitely, I saw Creative Assembly released a table of, this DLC will get you that, this game will get you that. I just found it funny that, for me, having been invested in this series for 6 years now, Jesus, 6 years now, well, it's probably closer to 5, but still, like, I know which games will get you what, I know what DLCs will get you what, but I find it funny that for everyone else, like, it's going to take so much work, like, okay, but what if I want to get the Wood Elves for cheaper? But do I still get Orion? No, I don't get Orion. Okay, so if I want to get Wood Elves cheaper, I just get the Sisters of Twilight and maybe Dryka. If I get Dryka, I don't know. Because in Warhammer 2, you had to get the Wood Elves DLC for Warhammer 1 to get Dryka. I didn't look at the table too hard because I own all the DLC because I'm a turbo nerd and I love this game deeply. So for me, it was irrelevant. But it's very, very cool to see this. It's very nice for people coming into the series because Realm of Chaos campaign, let's be real here, I didn't mind it as much as everybody else did, but it's still, yeah, it's not great. And Immortal Empires is vastly superior, and if you have access to Immortal Empires, there's pretty well no reason to play the Realms of Chaos campaign, unless you need to unlock Be'lakor, which I don't think you do by now. I think you had to prior to one of the Immortal Empires updates, but I think they changed that. You might need to do it to unlock Boris, Boris Ursus, not Boris Todbringer. If memory serves, the conditions to unlock Boris are just simply to own all 3 of Kislev's big cities, which you can definitely do in Immortal. Either which way. Okay, so we got... Okay, here's the big highlights, apparently. Immortal Empires is now available to all Warhammer 3 owners. That's very nice. Carrick 8 Peaks is now a 10-slot settlement for the Skaven. I don't know why it wasn't before. It must have been some kind of odd bug. Malice now has a quest battle. Fixed a variety of visual and graphical glitches. Okay, I guess we'll have to get into the individual nitty-gritty there. Garrisons are no longer reinforcements and now enter the battle from the start. That is nice. That is very nice. There have definitely been some times where the garrison coming in as reinforcements has caused problems for me. Hodil will no longer immediately enter the battle instead of reinforcing once the Waystones are destroyed in Dryka's quest battle. That's kind of funny. Did he just teleport in? I haven't played that quest battle. I'm not a quest battle kind of guy. And they apparently fixed something regarding stealing Grom's big wall ability. These are all bugs I've not run into, actually. So I'll just move on to the actual patch notes. Let's see. So also, I did see the trailer. I figured there wouldn't be anything big. And I did see the end bit, though, which is, of course, Chaos Dwarfs are coming. Get hyped. They're definitely going for the Mordor theme. It was going to be part of the question with designing the Chaos Dwarfs is, what do their settlements look like? Both minor and major, because the only indications we really got is very industrial, volcanic landscapes, and they liked building kind of, what's it, the Babylonians built them. I forget. But kind of stepped pyramids. Oh, that's gonna bug me, I forgot that. Either which way, it did look, I didn't get too good of a look, as I was, in the blur of waking up looking at it on my phone. But Chaos Dwarfs are one of the more unique races of the Warhammer setting. On some level, it's kind of a little bit just Isengard, right? I might have said Mordor earlier, but I meant Isengard. Not a complete Tolkien idiot. I know the difference between Isengard and Mordor. But evil dwarfs with a lot of Babylonian and Persian aesthetics. It's all very, oh, I almost had it on the tip of my tongue, the type of pyramid. Oh, that's actually going to bug me all through the video. Oh, no. Oh, it's the unique building for Sumeria in Civilization 6. I'm almost tempted to stop the video and go look it up, because I know it's a name I should recognize. Anyways. Okay, there we go. All the explanation for how the ownership of Immortal Empires works, and they do clarify, if you do not own Warhammer 3, you cannot play Immortal Empires. How could they do this? How could they steal the money right from our wallets, the food right out of our mouths? Okay. So let's see. We got some racial changes. Herd stones at Karazak and Black Crag now provide Minotaurs. Get to the actual interesting stuff. Okay, so the Cold One Knights were part of what had the issue. Something super interesting here. And oh, actually, that one, yeah, the Top Nods leader no longer starts with a Wyvern at level 1. Yeah, I started up a Scarbrand campaign just the other day, and I saw that, and I was founded for a minute. But it's nice to know that was a bug, and that's not just like they decided to pick that. I feel like Crev Assemblies picked a generic faction lord before and gave them something unique. Doesn't Cazador Dragonslayer or Karakazul get something unique? Even though he's just a standard dwarf lord. Maybe it's just a unique reward you get for confederating them, because Tyrion has always got the Heart of Avalorn for confederating Avalorn, even back before they added Alariel. So it could just be something like that. I may be misremembering. Apparently it's a lot of fixing stuff clipping through clothing. That's nice. Got a hair in my mouth. Boyar units will no longer have a neck stump protruding off the skull. That's funny every time. I remember modders had a real issue with that at Warhammer 3's launch. The Plague Cultist heroes that die upon being used no longer have Mentor. Okay, fair enough. That's, yeah, it used to be a real problem for the modders at Warhammer 3's launch. They changed the way that gore stumps work. So, in particular, I remember Mixu had it as an issue at the launch of his Slayer mod, his Demon Slayer and Dragon Slayer mod. When you picked the unit and he showed up in battle, he would have arm stumps, gore poking through his shoulders, and neck stump, gore poking through his head. It was amusing, but also disturbing and disgusting and horrifying. Yeah, a lot of very small stuff here. There are missing textures on Marauders with Slaanesh. Just when I think I know everything about this game. By the way, Free Company militia units can now be dismembered properly. I wonder if Crev Assembly is aware of the animation bug the Free Company has right now, where they are always in their melee attack animation. Where in Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2, the Free Company would stand around holding both the pistol and the sword. They now just hold the sword. And they will only fire the pistol when they actually they will only ever hold the pistol when they're actually firing it. Which I guess is that if there's any animation to run into bugs, that's a fine one. I almost feel like perhaps someone at Crave Assembly saw that and actually liked it. Which I'm neither here nor there, I guess. I'd kind of prefer for them to go back to the old look. But if you like the idea of the Free Company Militia quick drawing like cowboys, I guess that's cool. You know, I was actually kind of expecting more for this to be the switch from beta to full, but then again, I think Immortal Empires was in a healthier state than Mortal Empires launch. Boy. Ow. Wow, okay, yeah, that actually was a very small update. Okay, well, I guess I'll go ahead. I need to upload a video anyways, just to let everybody know I'm still here. Yeah, Chaos Dwarfs. I'll talk about Chaos Dwarfs. Sure. Had out the time. And somebody probably cares anyways. Yeah, Chaos Dwarfs are a big step just because they are pretty well, outside of Dogs of War, the last army book race. And Dogs of War are very strange to handle. They could be played as an army, but with how much of their army was just regiments of renown, it definitely felt like the point of the army book was to pick and choose regiments of renown from the book for a different army. If they were going to do a Dogs of War DLC, I would be much more interested in making it a big selection of very unique, very interesting regiments of renown for all the races. And I say that at least partly because I'm a big fan of Cataf's Southern Realms mod, especially the way he's done it in Warhammer 3. I've been wanting to put out some videos about that particular mod, but I've not found a way to do it just yet. But I don't want to see the Dogs of War try and be a replacement for that. I kind of would prefer for them to exist concurrently, not to interfere with each other. The Chaos Dwarfs, though, are pretty cut and clean, just simply, I'll be happy to see them in any which way. I think Crave Assembly is going to try and combine the old 4th edition Chaos Dwarfs, which are the ones with goofy hats. Well, even the Forge World Chaos Dwarfs have a certain degree of goofy hats. But the 4th edition Chaos Dwarfs had goofy hats. They tended to wear kind of full body gowns, looking almost. That's not proper. That's not the proper word, but that's the word I used. Gets the idea across, I guess. They were very much similar to the regular mainline dwarfs, with more of a focus on short-range firepower, greenskin units being used as chaff, and solid, weird artillery, I believe, as well as the addition of cavalry in the form of the boar centaurs. And then later on, around the time of 7th or 8th edition, I believe, wasn't around for this stuff, so I'm not accurate with time frames, I'm sure. Forge World made a Chaos Dwarf army list that was this time specifically focused on Infernal Guard. And the idea it was a lot of very, very heavy Chaos Dwarf units wearing like very Isengard, Urukai gear from top to bottom. Very, very similar to Peter Jackson's take on the Urukai. And it was very industrial, much more than it was before. Saying something. The artillery all got overhauls. It's actually fun to go back and look at the 4th edition Chaos Dwarf artillery, because it looks kind of pathetic. And then you look at the Forge World Chaos Dwarf artillery, and it's insanely metal trains of rocket launchers and flamethrowers and that big ogre-operated mortar. The miniatures were just all around more impressive. The boar centaurs, who are Very funny little guys, and I don't think will be in at launch, but I'd love to see them. The Boar Centaurs were replaced by the much more impressive Bull Centaurs, so they went from being cavalry to being monstrous cavalry. And I think there's a lot of fun to be had with both, and I think that there are grounds within the tabletop to have both. The 4th edition Chaos Dwarfs felt more like it represented the armies of pretty well all of the Chaos Dwarf realms, whereas the Forge World army felt like it was more specifically just trying to represent the kind of, well, I guess just the Infernal Guard, which the Infernal Guard are the Chaos Dwarf equivalent of Slayers. That is more of a popular Chaos Dwarf army theme in the southeast, I believe, down towards the Black Fortress. Get the tower that is down there, though. It's Drazoth the Ashen heads up that crew. We did see in that, I was able to make out in that Chaos Dwarf little teaser we got at the end there. I was able to make out a staff. It was someone stamping a staff. I actually did not think to take a look at their feet. I really should have. Because that will almost certainly be a sorcerer prophet of some kind, or a demon smith. The caster heroes and lords of the Chaos Dwarf Society, and the leaders of the Chaos Dwarf Society. But I did not think to check his feet, because the demon smith and the sorcerer prophet both have normal dwarven feet. They wear boots. But the big Chaos Dwarf legendary lord, the leader of Chaos Dwarf Society, is Astragoth Ironhand. A very powerful, there we go. Getting caught in my throat there. That's how hyped I am for Chaos Dwarfs. Very powerful Chaos Dwarf sorcerer prophet, who has been using magic for so long. Dwarfs are not meant to use magic. They weren't built to use magic by the old ones. Whether it was a deliberately manufactured in curse or just a glitch of the old ones, because the old ones messed up some stuff. The Chaos Dwarfs and the regular dwarfs alike are not meant to use magic. The Chaos Dwarfs try to use magic anyways through the power of the Chaos Gods. And it causes their body to slowly turn to stone. Most demon smiths and sorcerer prophets aren't that bad about it, but Astragoth has been using such powerful magic for such a long time that most of his body turned to stone and had to be amputated and replaced with machine parts. Now, as a result, pretty well from the waist down, he is machine. And even his arms are machine, which is where he gets the title Iron Hand. So if I had been thinking, I would have looked at his feet. And as a matter of fact, actually, I don't want to open up my, there we go, okay. Let me go ahead, and I'll go ahead and do that now. Go ahead and mute the video. Ignore any YouTube suggestions yet. 20 shocking secrets in Elden Ring. Body, why do you have to do that? Okay, here we go. Now I can actually get a look at it on video. Exciting. Okay, now let me see the resolution of this baby at. The highest it'll go. Excellent. It's still a little bit blurry. I see a goblin slave. There is a unique goblin slave model, which means we're definitely getting goblin slaves as a unit. They're not going to make that for nothing. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead back to the start here. Put it on slow-mo. At 25 speed. Yes, sir. So, I was wondering this. What are the greenskin slave units going to look like? Goblin and orc slaves are pretty well expected. I'm curious if they'll still do the black orc slaves, which they had in 4th edition. But, for one thing, from a gameplay perspective, it might give the Chaos Dwarfs too much of a hard-hitting offensive unit, which would be messy for the balance of a race that already has access to such strong defensive infantry, artillery, monsters. I can't quite make out this guy. This looks like a unique orc slave model. This is definitely like the inner workings of a Chaos Dwarf miner settlement. This is, you can go into dwarf settlements sometimes, and you'll see that they're built on top of volcanic kind of flows. Under, like, bridges and so on, or in crevasses in the settlement. This is going on inside one of those. I guarantee you, this is a part of the Zarnagran map. But either which way, the Black Orc slaves, for one thing, from a balance perspective, I'm not sure that works out. I believe that the Chaos Dwarf army list from Forge World included Goblin and Orc slaves, but it did not include Black Orc slaves. I could be wrong about that. But on top of that, I think they want to avoid... I mean, on top of that, there's a lore thing of the Chaos Dwarfs would be pretty stupid to continually keep Black Orcs around after the Black Orcs whooped them so bad the last time they tried to enslave them. On top of that, I think it might make people a bit uncomfortable. It might make Americans a bit uncomfortable, maybe Belgians. Europeans might, other than Belgians, might look at it and go, what's the issue? I don't know. Europeans aren't stupid. It's just fun. Oh, you can see. Hang on there. Hang on a second. Look down here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Look, there's a Chaos Dwarf throwing a Goblin Slave into the lava. Hang on. Okay, and what's this? What's this dude hanging out here doing? We got Goblin Slaves. Is that an Orc Overseer? What's this piston moving around here? Oh, it's not moving. It's just the camera's moving. Oh, no, it looks like it's moving. Like a pipe of some kind. Okay, and here we go. It's a gloved hand, so that's probably not Astrogoth. Nope, that's a regular biological arm right there. That is not Astrogoth. Yep. Okay, do we get more of a good look at it? No. No. Okay, so it's not Astrogoth. Which, Astrogoth, I'm curious if they'll focus on Astrogoth or Drazoth in the trailers. For the 4th edition, Astrogoth was very much the leader of the Chaos Dwarfs. Drazoth, though, got the majority of the focus in the 8th edition. Forge World. I mean, no matter what, I think that both of them are getting in. Astrogoth had a bit of a cheesy miniature design back in 4th edition. There was a little bit of background art in the Forge World book for the Chaos Dwarfs that some people assume is Astrogoth. I've never been so quick to assume it, but it does look like a pretty metal design for a cyborg Chaos Dwarf. But not only are both very interesting and unique legendary lords, both visually and lore-wise, but specifically, there's a whole thing in the lore of Astrogoth exiled Drazoth to the southeast to be stuck pretty well fighting ogres, orcs, and presumably the people of Ind as well, maybe the people of Cathay. Hey, maybe even Noblars. Shout out to the Noblar hordes. Great mod. And Drazoth is very unhappy, exiled to the southeast. And he plots to gain power and then overthrow Astrogoth and take over Thar-Nagrund himself. The potential for a immediate Legendary Lord rivalry there is great. The remaining 2 Legendary Lords, I feel, are a bit of a toss-up, just up in the air. Gordu's Backstabber, the Hobgoblin Legendary Lord, would be very different. He's not a Chaos Dwarf, and he would have a focus on Hobgoblin units, almost certainly. But it would feel really odd if the player could build armies of Chaos Dwarfs led by a Hobgoblin. That wouldn't be right. Though I am very excited to see the Hobgoblin assets come out, because modders will probably use them for making a Hobgoblin faction of their own, which would be cool. There's Jaton the Black, who was a Chaos Dwarf Legendary Lord from the army books. He was supposed to be very much the beefy melee Legendary Lord that every race feels like it's bound to have, except maybe, Tzeentch. Well, even Tzeentch is probably going to get a cold Hellbrass at some point, and I don't believe he's a caster. I believe he's just a beefy guy. But either which way, Zaton the Black filled that role, and he had a unique visual thing to him where he had 2 big banners on his back. But he, lore-wise, was very boring. He is just the right-hand guy of a more powerful sorcerer prophet, and he goes and collects slaves for him. On. There was a dude at some point named Rykarth the Black, who didn't have much lore I saw. Maybe he was hidden somewhere. The main thing about him was he had a skull mask. But even then, I feel like his name's a little too close to Rykarth of the Dark Elves, who was in the game. I think Jaton's more likely at that point. And of course, I think everybody wants Tordric Hackhart, which, for those of you who don't know, Tordric Hackhart is a dude who comes from Dreadfleet, the same spin-off game of Warhammer Fantasy that Noctilus and Aranessa come from. Tordric is a regular Chaos Dwarf who was, if memory serves, interested in experimenting beyond the bounds of the Dwarf Engineering Guild. And they kept restricting him and kneecapping him and hamstringing him. So he turned to the Chaos Dwarfs and he became one of them. And he turned to his experimental designs. He built them because the Chaos Dwarfs don't have those same restrictions about technology and experimentation that the regular dwarfs do. They don't even believe in grudges, They still believe in oaths and shame, I want to say, but I'm not for certain. They definitely still believe in some degree of, like, guilt and shame as major principles. They still have a variant of Slayers in the Infernal Guard. But Tordric Hackheart is mostly famous for building a ship that is, in fact, a giant mechanical kraken. And that is ridiculous, but it is metal, and it is awesome. And there is already plenty of stuff in Total War Warhammer that is ridiculous, but metal and awesome. So I personally would be pulling for Tordric Hackheart. The 4th Legendary Lord, I really have no idea. If they do throw in Gordo's Backstabber, I would find it a little dissonant, but I could live with it. It'd still be cool, especially if he has some kind of similar mechanic to, let's say, Skarsnik, where he's limited on recruiting Chaos Dwarf units until he, let's say, conquers Tsar Nagrund and forces the Chaos Dwarfs to listen to him. Something like that. But, I mean, with Chaos Dwarfs, no matter what, the core 2, which I think are inevitable, Astrogoth and Drazoth, they're both winners. They're both visually awesome. They both probably have interesting start positions. They will be distinctly focused on the Darklands. I expect whoever Legendary Lords aren't Astrogoth and Drazoth, they'll probably be starting outside the Darklands. But those two will probably start in the Darklands and focus on feuding over. And I think that will be a lot of fun. Especially for making the Darklands feel a little bit less empty. Either which way, this update was not as exciting as I was expecting. But it is very cool for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who now get access to Immortal Empires that did not earlier. And that is very awesome for them. I am glad to see more people playing this game no matter what. I love this game dearly. And more than anything else, it is just good to see the wheels moving again. I don't know what free LC is coming with the Chaos Dwarfs. The Chaos Dwarfs alone are going to be fantastic. Just to finally see them be out, there's going to be a sense of completeness from all the army book races, except Dogs of War, being done. And even if Dogs of War bugs you that much, the Southern Realms mod is out there, and it is high quality, and it is great, and you should try it. The curious thing I find is that Rich, I don't want to mess up his name. The director of Total War Warhammer 3, is his name Rich Aldridge? I don't think it is. Either which way, the director of Crave Assembly, and whose name I can't remember, he released a video saying, and I'm sure everybody knows about this by now, it's not a shock to anyone, but I just wanted to mention, he released a video saying, no, Total War Warhammer 3 is not dead, we are not through Kingdomsing it, and I find that ridiculous that people suggest that to begin with. People always act like Three Kingdoms was canceled because it was some big failure. It wasn't. It was a success. The DLC was done poorly, and that kind of led us to stink on it. But at the end of the day, with Three Kingdoms, it didn't get canceled because it wasn't making money or that they didn't want to make any more Three Kingdoms content. It got canceled because they decided they'd rather make a sequel than make more DLC, which is a strange decision. And I do feel for the people who are really invested in that game and were really excited to see the Xiongnu made playable. But Total War Three Kingdoms is not dead. It's just getting a new iteration, which I'm very excited for because I played a couple campaigns of Three Kingdoms and I had a great time. I loved that game. Total War Warhammer 3 was never going to get canceled like that. The game still makes money. And Warhammer 3 having early development difficulties is not unique. Warhammer 1 was a very rough game at release. Warhammer 2 was much better. Vortex was better than the Warhammer... Well, was it better than Warhammer? I won't go so far as to say that. Vortex had issues, but Vortex also had a nicer map. The races didn't feel so messy at the first. Gave in a little bit. But a lot of people forget the issues Mortal Empires faced early on as well. I mean, Norska. Norska didn't come out until like nearly a year after Warhammer 2's release. It was insane. Warhammer 3 is going through pretty well the same growing pains that Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 did. And we're about to enter that growth spurt that came in Warhammer 2 around the time of, what was it? Prophet and the Warlock and Vampire Coast, where the game Warhammer 2 really started to hit its stride. Cross my fingers. So, not too long after Chaos Dwarfs, we're going to be seeing another DLC about June or July, I believe is what Rich said. I know his name is Rich. I can't remember his last name. Aldridge doesn't sound right. Either which way. Going to be another DLC in June or July, and there's going to be another DLC later in the year. And it's going to be something weird to have to go from one DLC to another in the space of like 2 months. So we've not been prepared for that for a while. But I am very excited for where this game is going. And yes, I know that I am a bit overly enthusiastic with my love for this game. Either which way, I will see you folks later. I don't know how to end this video. I never know how to end a video. Curse of making these videos. It's harder than it looks, folks, except that it's actually really easy. But I am dumb.